With me today is Josh Weiand, Boathouse Manager at the Blessing of the Bay Boathouse for the Recreation Department. Thanks for coming on, Josh.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this is great to be outdoors on what is a little bit windier of a day than we expected. As you know, any opportunity to highlight what goes on here I think is so important to the community. So you've been a guest on the show before talking about the amazing programming here. Can you share a little bit about your background, how long you've been involved with Somerville Recreation, and how long you've been down here?
This is my 7th year at Recreation. It's my 6th year at the Boathouse. My 3rd year fully in control or like manager of it.
Yeah.
So it's been a nice time so far.
It definitely has been great. I do remember years back when you started on at Recreation, and it's really nice, I think, to see the progression of staff and someone like yourself who had been a participant in recreation programs when you were younger, and then kind of moving right along in the evolution of becoming a staff person and then taking on a more managerial role. So as we said, this is a beautiful place. If we take a peek here, as we can see, the wind is coming in across the water. It really is a great day to be out like this. Wind's a little bit much, but it just kind of adds to the interest of doing this.
Happens sometimes here. But.
So let's talk a little bit about the Boathouse. You said the weather has, shifted now. We are almost close to it being summer. I believe next week is the official kickoff of the summer for the calendar year. And then, as we know, there's lots of summer programming that happens down here. So tell me what to expect down here in the warmer weather.
So we will open up July 5th with our canoe camp and our canoe rentals. We're open on Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 to 4:30. Tuesday and Thursday we will open up till 7:30 p.m. And then we have a new thing this year is on Saturday and Sunday we're open 9 to 1.
Really? Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the extended hours in the evening. Do you feel that a lot of people are interested in coming out at the later time? I'm thinking maybe people getting out of work and are looking for that, maybe like a nice relaxing end to the day.
I think it's definitely work-wise, but also I think it becomes a little cooler. A little later at night, probably 5, 6, and they can come out for, an hour and a half, until 7:30 to go to a nice little canoe ride and kind of with a sunset type of atmosphere. So I think that's a good idea.
Very nice. So recreation in the Boathouse may be sparking some romantic evenings and trips out
yeah,
here,
maybe.
Right? But that I think is really important, again, to be responsive to the needs of the community. So, it is hard if you work, a regularly scheduled job to get out and enjoy something that's really a great resource.
I agree.
And then you said the addition of weekend hours.
Yeah, we, over the years I've been here, we've had a lot of kind of interest in, people wanting to have rentals on the weekend. Right. So this year, the first time that we wanted to implant it, and I think it would be a good idea. We'll have a bunch of people, interested in trying to canoe during that time.
I think it'll be great. I mean, again, it's such a great opportunity. You can't beat the price of the rentals, and then to be able to come out on a Saturday or Sunday, again, without the constrictions of fitting it in to other things. So the cost for the canoe rentals?
Canoe rentals will be $20 for the whole day. So you can show up at 9:30 or 9 o'clock, and you have it all day. You can be out there till 4:30 when we close during Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or till 7:30 on the Tuesday, Thursday hours.
That's incredible. So when people leave from here, they launch from the dock right over here.
Yep, right out front.
And where are they heading?
If you go up this way, you go up towards the Arlington, like the Mystic Lakes. Okay. Up in that area. And then if you take the right, you can go up under these 2 bridges, past 2 yacht clubs, the Woods Hill Yacht Club, and then you pass the walks where you can get into the ocean. The canoes can't go that way, but you can go up towards the Malden River and pass up through Everett and Malden.
Excellent. Now, do you see a lot of motorized boating out here in the warm weather too? I think in the past I feel like I've, maybe walked along this path and seen some of the smaller boats, but definitely kind of zipping by.
Yeah, there's 2 yacht clubs heading up that way that come up, the boats come up through the locks, and we also have some of the boats from these yacht clubs come this way to kind of test their waters. They do a lot of fishing as well out here as well.
Well, that was going to be my next question. If people, do people fish from the canoes necessarily?
No, we do not allow that, but people fish around the shore and stuff like that. And we have people walk by that, tell us about some of the stuff they caught. If we see them, we try to ask them and see what's in the water type of thing.
Great. Again, it's really a nice possibility for some community engagement as well. So you had mentioned the canoeing camp.
Yep.
So let's talk about that. What does that look like for our young people?
So the ages is 5 to 14. Yeah. They get here on Monday. They'll do a little swim test at the Doughboy pool. We provide transportation to the Doughboy pool. They do a little swim test there. They come back. We do really kind of like a class type of thing for Monday, is to really learn about the canoe, learn about the type of rowing techniques, and then we try to get them on the water for at least half hour, 45 minutes that day. They'll have lunch, and then they'll go outside and we'll play some games like foursquare, dodgeball, kickball, wiffle ball, try to get them a little more active. Right. And then from Tuesday to Friday, we try to be out here on the water for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then we do the same thing with lunch and then recreational game. And then Friday, we try to make a trip up as far as we can up towards Arlington, and then come back down in a certain time period. So.
Excellent. I must confess, I don't know enough about canoeing and rowing to know that there are different kinds of rowing techniques. So
yeah, it's really
tell me a little more about that.
It's really just the type of movement. So when you're going forward, backwards, how to turn, and stuff like that. It's not as difficult or as confusing as people you think. It's really just type of how to hold the paddle. If you want to go forward, how you want to do that technique, how much paddle wants to be in the water. Backwards, same thing, and if you're trying to turn right or left, and if you're in the back or front type of thing, who really controls the boat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it must be great. I always find when you work with young people, they're so much quicker to grasp things.
Yes.
Like, I feel like you would tell me 6 times and I'd be like, I got it, and then I'd go out there and be like, I can't make the canoe move.
Yes.
But I feel like young people are just so ready to absorb it, and they're just so excited to try these things. Is that what you find typically?
I do, because it also helps us, because a lot of our campers have been here in the years past, or even have done multiple weeks during the summer.
Okay.
So when we come Monday, they really know how to do it. So they also help some of the younger kids do it. Some of them bring their brothers or sisters, and they try to help them a little more. So really it makes it a little easier, but it also, it makes it a little more interesting, because actually the kids, are actually learning. They actually are interested in it, and they want to keep going.
I think that's a nice leadership opportunity too for some of the kids who are repeaters and a little bit older. And I think anytime we have the opportunity to really showcase the talents of young people, I mean, think of what a boost that is to your self-esteem. If something that you just learned, last year, now you're in a position to pass that on, particularly if it's with one of your younger siblings. I think that may give you a little bit of leverage sometimes in things like, remember when I taught you how to use a canoe?
Yep.
So there's that. And that, I think, is really good, again, to get young people out on the water. As you and I had talked a little bit earlier today, we're in such a densely populated city. I mean, Somerville is a great place to live. It's a great place to live, work, play, and raise your family. But, we're kind of on top of each other here.
Yeah.
We really are. So when you sit here and look out at this, I mean, it's amazing, just the amount of space we have here and the beautiful grounds that are out front. So it's really nice to hear that you utilize those for the games as well. Now, again, and some of the people who've participated in the recreation programming in the past, I mean, everybody loves foursquare and just those same sorts of things. So when you transition to that part of the day after having lunch and then shifting to outside, do you find that the same sort of thing happen, like some of the kids take on leadership roles within that?
Yeah, because I mean, they all want to play a certain game. Like some of the new kids or new campers might not know how to play that game, because we've played it the last 2 or 3 weeks. Right. So they teach them that game, or they'll do another type of game, or an arts and crafts type of thing. Try to get more people involved. But everyone that comes out front will be involved in some type of activity. Either that's arts and crafts, a foursquare, dodgeball, wiffle ball. There's never a kid sitting there on the sideline doing nothing. If one kid wants to, just play, do arts and crafts, we have a counselor there, helping them do arts and crafts. Or if they want to, kind of just do a little walk, around the area, we have 2 counselors go and do a little walk around the area with them as well. Just whatever they want to do after, that lunchtime it's their choice.
I think that's important to realize too, and I know it's reflective of conversations with people in the community as well. Recreation is always known for being very responsive to people's needs, so the understanding and actually putting into practice that not everybody participates in the same way. So it's different, like you said, when you're out here on the water, clearly you're out here on the water. Exactly. I mean, that is the programming that happens. But then understanding during a transition time that people's energy levels, come and go. And even though they're young people, you've been out in the water, it's tiring, you're out in the sun. One thing also I was glad that you mentioned was the fact that they utilize the lunch program.
Yes.
You know, we know so many of our young people during the school year are very heavily dependent upon free breakfast and free lunch at the schools. So it's very nice to ensure that in the warmer weather when they're not in schools, that they're still able to have access to that. I mean, a lot of, you know, the reality for a lot of us is if you have children, you're working parents, you know, there are a lot of different things that go on. So knowing that you can kind of cross that off your list of concerns for the day is great. And I want to definitely congratulate you and your staff, because you guys have always been amazing with the kids. I mean, through the summer jobs program, we place staff down here as well in a supportive capacity to your more senior staff. And we always get rave reviews from the families, the kids, you know. And again, I mean, you're very welcome, but it's important and bears repeating. You know, it's an important program, and it is a very safety-focused program. I mean, think of that, you know, you and I were joking a little bit earlier about, you know, some people's lack of comfort around the water, specifically mine, but, you know, in that sense of being able to make the connection with a young person, get them to a place where coming here is not something to worry about, it's something to look forward to, and realizing being able to keep yourself safe in the water and near the water is really important. So how do you kind of work with the young people to get them to feel more comfortable?
Is the campers or my workers?
The campers.
Okay, so we get them on life jackets, which is mandatory, of course, but that also gives them a little more safety.
Yes.
You know, like kind of blanket type of thing, because now they know if they fall in the water, you know, they're going to be floating no matter what. Plus, we also have a counselor in every boat with them who is trained. We do type of like kind of training as well with the canoes as well, and also swimming as well. They make sure they can swim. Right. So they feel a little more comfortable that way. Plus, you know, we don't really, if the water's kind of choppy, we don't go on the water. Right. If they don't want to, we don't force them on the water. We try to get them in. You know, I know a couple years ago we had a girl that didn't want to go in the water. You know, so we finally got her in the canoe. So we just canoed her up a little bit out front. We had one counselor just stay up front with her here, and she ended up loving it. By the last day, she's the one who wanted to make the trip to Arlington. And no one else wanted to, but you know, that's how it is. I mean, we try to accommodate them as much as possible. If they can get in the boat, we usually just kind of hold them in the boat for a little bit and see how they feel with the water moving. If they like it, or if they feel a little more comfortable, we try to go out front, and if they continue to feel more comfortable, we go out farther. But it's all based on, you know, their comfort, how they feel.
Right. I think that's really important too. And again, what a sense of pride for a young person who may not even be able to identify it as that, but to realize like something that you weren't super comfortable with at first, maybe a little frightened of, and now you're like, let's go to Arlington, right? Let's just take it.
I think it also helps the counselors as well, because now the counselors see that, you know, they're actually making a difference in someone's, you know, in someone's life or someone's summer. You know, I mean, I know we always have that motto. This is like, you know, these kids is Disney Worlds. You know, and that's how I really try to make this camp this program, because I want kids to have fun. I want them to come back. I want them to, you know, really enjoy every aspect of it. And that's why I think it also helps that, you know, if they feel comfortable there, you know, they're going to enjoy it more.
Oh yeah, and I think one thing that's always important to note, you know, these programs fill up because young people really want to do this. And I think, you know, Recreation does a good job of marketing programming and doing outreach. So I think that you see a lot of young people participating in this who you know from other programs throughout the year or doing other activities with Rec. And I think it's really nice to see that there's always a way to kind of build on those relationships. So, you know, you may see, you know, a young person who you saw at a sports camp 2 years ago and now realize they've grown a foot, and now they're out here on a canoe and potentially working in our program next year. You know, it really is that the more things change, the more they stay the same. You know, it is nice to see that.
You see all the kids grow up through the programs, which is really interesting, or really interesting to see, because you know kids who, you know, when they first did a program, they're 5 years old. You know, now me, you know, I've been here for 6, 7 years. Now they're all 11, 12 years old, and now you're looking at it, wow, I remember you when you're this tall.
They're trying to become CIT.
Exactly.
Sure. It is really a great opportunity. Do you find that when you're not able to go out, right, like you said, you know, weather dependent and things like that, since the young people are so enthused, I mean, they must be disappointed, right?
They're definitely disappointed. I mean, when it rains, when they're not here fully, when we get to cancel, they're very disappointed. But I mean, if it's a little windy, too windy, and we can't go on the water because it's too choppy, they are disappointed, but they also have that reassurance that we go outside, we play some more games, you know, we have an opportunity, because now we have more time out there to maybe try something different, you know, maybe get a full wiffle ball game in, maybe do, you know, a football game or a soccer game. type of more games you can probably play when you have more time. And
right. One thing you did mention that I think is really important to note, as a parent, I think you're always looking at things through a safety lens,
yes.
right? You know, it's a big deal, and people, not everyone may see it, but it's a big deal to kind of sign the consent and sign your kid over to someone,
yeah.
right? You know, no matter what you think of it. And I think as you talked about the importance that, you know, life jackets are mandatory.
Yep.
There's a counselor right in the canoe with you,
yep.
you know, just all of those factors that are built in to ensure the best possible outcome for everyone in the program.
I agree. We try to make sure that, you know, not just the kids feel safe, but the parents feel safe. Like you said, you know, some of these kids that are coming out are, you know, 5, 6, 7 years old.
Right.
You know, this is the first time they're really, other than school,
right.
they're away from their parents. Mm-hmm. So we try to make sure the parents, you know, feel comfortable, but also with the kids as well.
Mm-hmm. So one other thing I did want to talk about, you know, we have this site here, and you know, you and I have talked about this for a while. A lot of people still, for whatever reason, just aren't aware that this is here, kind of tucked away. I feel like once you kind of get divided by 93 a little bit, people are like, oh, there's this whole other neighborhood. I do think the creation of the bridge that connects Shore Drive
yep.
to the development at Assembly, I think has definitely increased passerby traffic here now. So I think that may have the potential to really get more people aware of this. But I mean, it's such an amazing thing. Despite the wind that keeps happening to us here, I mean, it's beautiful in the middle of the workday, you know, to be sitting out here being able to do this. So do you often, or do you have people sometimes, like if you're doing the programs outside and stuff, do people kind of come by and like, there's a boathouse, or, you know, because the path goes all the way around,
yep.
you know, up into Medford and then back over 28
yep.
and all of that.
We have a lot of, you know, walkers that come in and stop by and ask us what we do here, what the boathouse is about and stuff like that. And we try to get them, you know, all the information they can. They also, a lot of them come back actually, we found. You know, we see them like on a Monday and they'll come back either next week or even later that week to canoe. So it works out that way, is, you know, when you walk by, you get the information and they come in.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, I think it's important for people to realize too, like, this is a recreation program. You know, I mean, it's staffed by recreation, it's managed by recreation, and to realize, you know, that if you've had a child participate in other programs that, you know, they've enjoyed through the recreation department, this is really just a continuation of that with the same framework and mindset for the programming. I mean, when I think of all of the training like that the staff goes through before they ever have an interaction with a young person, you know, and obviously some of that is security reasons and things that are mandated, but to really understand the level of dedication that goes into becoming a recreation employee, I think is really important.
It's a lot of hard work, but you know, it's definitely worth it in my mind. You know, when I first started on, I mean, I was 16 years old. I'm like, wow, this is a lot. This is a lot of work. And then, you know, now when I'm growing up, you know, through the system, it shows how much it's worth it, because you know, all the hard work you put in, it's definitely worth it, seeing the kids smile, you know, having fun at a summer, you know, camp.
So I know other entities use this site as well. We saw coming in, there's the sign for Gentle Giant Rowing. So they've become a strong partner over the years. I know they have a very, very active rowing club.
Yes.
Yeah, we've seen them at different community events. They come and bring one of their like gigantic many-person rowing thing and do it during like our Summer Streets festivals and have it out in the street and really kind of do a bit of a demo and realize that there are many different ways and different, I don't want to say vehicles, but different methods to utilize the water, I guess. So they've been around here for a while, and then there's a sign on the front door that talks about the Somerville and Everett Crew Club. Yep,
the high school team is also, you know, rows out of here, or it's partnership with Rec as well to row out of here, as long as with Gentle Giant as well.
Which I think, again, you know, just building the sense of community. I mean, it's just a nice place to be.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, sometimes I'll drive past here during the day and you'll see people, you know, outside having lunch or whatever. So I think the increase of the weekend hours will be such a positive impact to the community. So, I mean, having something like this, what do you see is the most important reason for the Boathouse to be here?
Definitely to get the kids out of the house, you know, away from the TV, you know, in the summertime for the programs, but also kind of just to give the kids a different, you know, look of, you know, the world they live in, because, you know, when you go anywhere else really in the city, it's really all buildings, it's all houses. You know, this is really the only place, you know, in the city that has such an open type of, you know, kind of wildlife environment, or like kind of, you know, suburbs, not suburbs, but like country
Yeah, it definitely has a more rural feel to
exactly.
it. I mean, you look out here, we were talking before we started taping a little bit about the different wildlife. And I don't know if everybody can see in the background, but we've had a number of ducks and geese and a very big swan that was out there when we first started. Lovely bird sitting here now. So as we're coming to a close, I want you to think back over the time you spent here and tell me one of your favorite memories.
Probably not one of my favorite memories, but definitely just my favorite memory, or thing about the Boathouse is just seeing the kids come out and have fun at camp, really enjoy themselves, you know, wanting to come back more. You know, we have kids at 12:30, kids don't want to leave.
Right.
You know, they still want to stay here, and I think that really puts a smile on my face, but also my other counselors' faces as well, because, you know, they realize they're making a difference in this little kid's life.
Yeah, that's very important. One of mine, I think, was probably 2 summers ago. As you know, I come by to check on the summer staff, and you guys, it was the afternoon time, so it was out in the front doing the different things. And there was this one little young boy who I've seen at other programs, and he clearly was really looking up to one of your counselors as a role model. Like, the counselor would stand a certain way and the little boy would shift, and then he'd do something else and the little boy would, like, completely modeling what he was doing. So I think it's so important, you know, to realize, even if it's not totally aware, they're absorbing all of that. And I was really appreciative of the time, you know, that you guys spend into doing that. So as you said, the opportunity to, you know, bring a smile to a young person's face and have them get out here and experience this, I think is so important. So I really appreciate all that your staff does here. I appreciate you taking the time to talk about this today. And if people are looking for more information, what's the best way for them to take care of them?
Definitely go on SomervilleRec.com. There's all the information about camps, you know, there as well. If you go to the rec building at Walnut Street, you can also have the brochures that we have there. They're in various different languages for the community. But other than that, it's really just a lot of our, you know, interest is really hearsay or walking by for this program. But all the other programs you can find on SomervilleRec.com, and then, you know, on the brochures that all the middle schools will be getting as well by the end of the year, so the kids have that thing to start signing up for stuff.
I think that's great. I mean, like you said, these programs fill up because they're so awesome, and, you know, you want your young person to be able to participate as fully as possible. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching Connecting Communities. We'll see you next month.